Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Tips. Um, Glad you're here with us today, and I'm looking forward to going over a few things with you that I've gleaned from especially some recent sessions that I've had in tutoring students and working with parents. Um, that's what the subject of today's Tuesday tip is going to be. It's going to be on test taking strategies and tips that as a parent you can help your child with, that you can work with your child on. So when they go into taking tests, they can utilize these tips, these strategies to help them perform better. And ultimately, that's what we all want, right? Um, on taking tests and everything, a lot of people get nervous for whatever reason. So these are all strategies that you can use every single time you take a test. Now, I'll be honest, I was thinking about today's session, and I've been recently doing some SSAT tutoring for eighth graders. It's been really a lot of fun. I have three great students right now that I'm tutoring, and a lot of the SSAT is on information that eighth graders probably should know or at least be aware of. So, the key on doing well on that test is different strategies, test taking strategies that you can use. So, it made me start thinking, why can't we apply those strategies or at least some of them to the tests that students take every day in class? Now, it is a different kind of test, the SSAT, but the strategies can be the same. And I think it would really benefit the child if we start looking at all these strategies as in general for all tests and applying what we can when we apply those strategies. So that's what made me think of it. I also thought of myself as a young student many, many years ago, unfortunately. But I remember when I took tests, I didn't always apply this. And as you grow and mature and learn more and more things in life, I look back now and I wish, you know what? I wish I had applied some of these. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to really speak about three different strategies. The first, but before I go into those three, I think it's a given without saying it's a strategy that you should always get a good night's rest and you should always wake up and eat a good breakfast and be mentally as prepared and alert as you can be. That goes for an English vocabulary quiz, a math unit test, a science unit test, a science quiz. It doesn't matter the level of the test. Let's always be prepared. Get a good night's sleep, good breakfast, and be mentally ready to take whatever the day throws upon us. And in the case with many kids, I've seen the schedules. Sometimes I feel bad for them. There's a lot of tests and a lot of homework and a lot of projects. And so this is just another way to lighten the load for your child. So those two are given. Those are not the three strategies I'm going to talk about. The first strategy I'm going to talk about is, it's going to sound simple, but trust me, it's not always done. And that is, read the question carefully and read what they are asking for, what the teacher is asking for with the question. Oftentimes, we read through that question quickly. We think we know the answer, so we think we know what the teacher's asking. And in essence, she may not be asking that. She may be asking something different. For example, I saw on a recent test, which of the following is not an odd number? It's a weird way of asking. Instead, you could have asked which one of the following is an even number, but that's not the point. The point was the question was worded as not an odd number, and therefore the question wasn't read carefully, and the student started trying to pick out an odd number and got it wrong on a very basically simple question, right? So read the question carefully. Look at what they're asking for. All right. Another example where this could play in is especially in math, right? If they're asking for the value of x, but in the problem they give you to solve, x is squared. All right. So x squared may be 9, but that's not what they're asking you. And they'll make that as one of the choices, right? They're asking you for the value of x, not x squared. So the answer is 3. But if you don't read the question carefully and see exactly what they're asking for, you could very easily get the question wrong, when in essence you really know how to do it, right? You know what the answer is. You just don't read the question carefully enough. So please work with your child. I work with them when I'm tutoring, same thing. You've got to be careful and read the question. Strategy number 2. One thing I wish I had done that I didn't do. Most kids do their homework, hopefully listen in class. So they have a general idea of what the answers to some of the questions may be. So if they read the question carefully, chances are very good that some of the choices that they're provided are not close to being right. They're off, right? And so you can eliminate bad answers. And in doing so, you improve the chance, the percentage that you will get the answer correct. A lot of times, I'll be honest, there are 1 or 2 answers that are close. But if you've eliminated the other ones, then you can focus on, okay, what's the difference in the ones that are close? And hopefully, you'll be able to figure that out and choose the correct answer. But your odds are a lot better picking from between 2 answers than picking from between 4 or among 4, right? So if you eliminate 2, then you've got half the battle done, right? Your odds improve. We won't get into odds and percentages. That's a whole other math lesson, right? But honestly, in eliminating wrong answers or eliminating bad answers that are not close, you're able to improve the chance that you'll perform better on the test. Again, I didn't do that. I read the question. I thought I read the question carefully, and then I just saw the answer I thought was right. And sometimes I don't even look at the others, right? That's when we make errors in judgment, right? So think each question through and eliminate the wrong answers and look at the answers that are possibilities. And then third, last thing I want to talk about is always check your answer, right? And you can do that for any subject. Let's take language arts. You're like, how do you check an answer in language arts? Well, if they're asking you for the meaning of a word and they give you choices, substitute that meaning into the sentence that they gave you, right? Like there are often ways you can check answers. Sometimes you can't, but a lot of times you can check the answer and see if it makes sense, right? Same way in math. If you pick that the answer is 3, or let's pick the answer or the example I used before. If you've incorrectly chosen 9 and then you plug in 9 to x squared and it's supposed to equal 9, it equals 81, you got it wrong. You're checking it. But if you don't check it, you don't know and you don't realize that you've answered x squared instead of x, right? It's all about not rushing through it, checking what you got, make sure it works in the problem. In math, that's often a very, very easy thing to do, right? Like you can plug in the value of x, you can plug in the value of y, and see if the problem computes. And if it doesn't, then you don't have it right. So there's always ways to double check your answers and do better on the test. So these are just 3 simple tips. That's what the point of this Tuesday tips thing is to just go over some things we think maybe, right, you forget, or you just get lackadaisical and all of that. So let's make sure that we're using these tips and we're making our child use these tips, like when they're studying, going over quizzes. Make sure they're doing this way. It's very important, and I think you'll see an improvement in the score of your children. Before I end the day's session, I left a little time because I wanted to talk about 2 things. One is in regards to taking tests and schoolwork. This is going to be my bandwagon thing for the day because I'm seeing it more and more, and I understand why it's happening, but it doesn't need to happen. And that's, we're losing the art of studying for quizzes and tests. And let me let me expand on that. If you just do your homework, right? That's oftentimes, okay, I've studied for the test. Well, no, you've done your homework, which is helping you prepare for the test, but are there class notes that you've taken? Are there notes that the teachers provided online that you could review? Are there vocabulary words that the teacher has provided definitions for? We lose the art of studying for a test. It's not just completing homework assignments or doing classwork assignments. It's part of it, but it's not all of it. And I see more and more of that today, almost in every level from third grade on up. And it just made me want to talk a little bit about that, because as you get older and as you progress through your education, certainly into the higher grades of high school and then into college, the art of studying is going to be crucial to how you do. And, for us, many of us had to learn the hard way. I remember when I went off to college, I was used to a particular way of preparing. Luckily, my school had made me do some studying, right? And I had learned, but the studying you do in college compared to how you do it in high school, it's almost like a whole different world, right? You have to study. So I think it's a good opportunity for us as parents, as tutors, and as teachers to work with children on how to study and how to better prepare for your tests that you're preparing and coming up for. I know teachers do oftentimes a good study guide. That's a good first step. But in that study guide, make sure you're making the student review other areas. They're not just memorizing the study guide, right? It's called studying. It's called sitting down at your desk with maybe not an assignment that's due and reviewing for 30 minutes or an hour what you've gone over in the past few weeks. And it's a lost art, I'm afraid. I see a couple people doing it, but it's not what it needs to be. And I think we as parents can have a great impact on our child if we begin to have them do that more. Please reach out to me. That's a very general overview of that, but we can certainly talk about that more if you see that is happening with your child, right? There are things we can do to try to get them to studying a little bit more accurately and maturely for test rather than just memorizing or doing a homework assignment. And then the last thing I want to mention is Helen, our Dynamis Learning Academy owner and founder, is going to be speaking at an online summit called Parenting for Resilience, Confidence, and Independence. She's a speaker at that. It's an online summit. It's free, and you can sign up for that and listen to some very informative information on parenting. We all need that, right? And with it free, all you have to do is go online and register for it. Now, there's several ways to go online and register for it. If you subscribe to our newsletter, we have the link in there on our website. I was going to post the link on the screen below, but it's so long it wouldn't fit. But there are many ways. And again, if you can't find that link on the website or the newsletter, reach out to me at my email below, bill@dynamislearningacademy.com, and I'll provide you the link in an email. So again, it's parenting for resilience, confidence, and independence in kids. And don't we want them to all have that? That kind of goes along with what I just said. If you're resilient, you keep studying, you keep working at it, right? You want to be confident and you want to be independent where you don't have to stay by their side the whole time, right? Like, let them have the responsibility of studying and working on things they need to do for the test. So anyway, these are all intertwined, and that's what education is, right? That's why we're good educational advocates at Dynamis Learning Academy. We help provide you great information and great success, not just in tutoring a particular subject, but we can be advocates for you in several ways. And that's one thing Helen prides herself on, and I think we do a good job with at Dynamis. We're a full service tutoring, so it's not just tutoring on how to do the distributive property in algebra, right? It's way more than that. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tips. Please reach out to me, like I say, if you need the link. if you need any further information about today. But let's work with our kids on test taking, make them more efficient. And I think you'll see an improvement in grades and test scores if we work on these strategies. Have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Take care.